All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The city of Seward abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is displayed on the north wall of this meeting room facility as required. Disclosure of meeting recording processes is posted in the meeting room. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Presenters shall approach the podium, state their name and address for the clerk's record, and are asked to limit remarks to 5 minutes. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The city of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda if necessary, and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Wilkins.
Present.
Beck.
Here.
Campbell. Fritz.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Singleton.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Hands.
The first item this evening is the consideration of approval of draft minutes of March 1st, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkins. Beck. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Motion carried.
Item number 2 is the consideration of consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkins. Beck. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Motion carried.
Item number 3 is the confirmation of the mayor's appointments. Item 3A is the reappointment of Dick Myers, Brad Bowen, and Norm Schultz to the Housing Appeals Board for a 3-year term.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkins. Beck. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Motion carried.
Item 3B is the reappointment of Ryan Seaman to the Community Redevelopment Authority for Tax Increment Financing, CRA, for a 5-year term.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkins. Beck. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Motion carried.
Item C is the appointment of Sue McHugh to the Civic Center Commission for a 3-year term to replace Janice Rossmeyer.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkins. Beck. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Motion carried.
Item number 4 is the consideration of a resolution placing a lien on property located at 611 North 6th Street for unpaid water and sewer billing. Bonnie?
This property was given proper notice from the billing. I think it goes back to December, so we gave them their 90-day notices. There was a tenant in the property. They received the notice as well as the landlord. It's our understanding this property is going to be going up for auction, and they feel it appropriate in order to collect on it to place a lien on the property.
Any questions?
I'll introduce it.
Introduce the resolution. All right. The resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2016-05. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor. Wilkins. Beck. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Motion carried.
Item number 5, consideration of an agreement with Gabriel Berger LPC extending current audit services contract for 1 additional year. Bruce?
We're finishing the 3rd year of the contract that we had with Gabriel Berger and Else. And normally we'd go through a rebidding process, but we kind of like to keep them on 1 more year. So if we can get an accountant hired, they'd be able to help work with them for the next fiscal year. And so we talked with Ryan Berger, and he agreed to keep the price the same for 1 more year, and that's my recommendation, and Bonnie's as well.
Is discussion or questions from the council? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilken, Beck, Fritz, Pike, Siegel, and Schmidt, motion carried.
Item number 6, consideration of awarding bid for wage and benefit comparability study services. Bruce?
Well, as we asked, we went out for bids for wage and benefit comparability service studies. We got 2 of them. One's from Capital City Concepts for $12,000, including expenses, and the other one's from Nebraska Pay Surveys for $11,500 plus expenses. We've worked with both companies in the past, or the city has. What our recommendation would be, Bonnie and I, is to go with the Capital City Concepts. The reason being is basically the same price, and we believe that they're gonna go out and do a little bit more work as far as making sure that we're comparing apples to apples when you're looking at the job descriptions and making sure that those job descriptions are matching and it's just not a title. And we think that Capital City does a better job of doing that.
Any questions or comments from the council? Chris?
What is Sheila's company's name? I'm sorry, I don't have.
Nebraska's Pay Surveys.
Nebraska Pay Surveys. Doesn't Sheila do work for the league?
Yes.
And does that not include, job comparisons?
It's a separate contract. I mean, she works for the city of Norfolk, and when she does it normally, and Bonnie helped me with this, she just pretty much looks at the titles more than anything and just does comparabilities that way.
The survey, when it comes out to all the cities, there is a general description, 1 paragraph generally, for each job. And then the person responding to the survey has to decide whether or not and at what level it matches that 1 paragraph.
Correct. So, I mean, my own opinion, having been through this multiple times, I'm not impressed with Paul's work at all in what he does. Sheila's taught comparability at league conferences. I think she has a good idea of what she's doing. And the work she has done for us, what she presented to us was a much better end product, I think, than what Paul had. And Sheila did not stand in front of us and tell us, here's what comparability is showing, here's what you ought to be doing. She presented it to the council, and the council made up their mind. Paul likes to come in and say, these cities have 8 vacation days, Seward only have 1, you've gotta give another vacation day. That's not how comparability works. That's not the concept of comparability. Everybody wants to think comparability is, they're doing it, we have to do it. That's not how it works. That's not the reason behind the tool. But that's the way government likes to make you think it works. Everybody else is doing it, we have to do it. That is not what comparability is. So maybe we need to have our labor attorney back, because he gave us a class on it once, on what comparability is.
Do we have a timetable when these things will be decided?
Well, we wanted to have it done before we get into the budget too, Dee, because if things change, then we want to be able to budget for
Do
it.
we have time to have Jerry come out at the next meeting, possibly? Is that kind of what you're
We
thinking?
can do it.
Does the
Well, I
council?
think everybody should know exactly what the purpose of it is and what it's for.
Okay.
You know, it's been my understanding, having sat through it with Jerry when he came here and having sat through it at a league conference, it is a tool. It is not a mandate of Joe Blow pays $50 an hour for this job, you have to pay $50 an hour for this job. They have 12 personal days, you need to have 12 personal days. That's not the purpose of it.
John, do you want to add something?
And I think for some of the new council members, it'd be very beneficial, because Chris is right, we've been through this for how many times? And it's like a scare tactic saying you have to, or you're gonna get in trouble from the state, possibly even law, legal.
Sure.
And we don't have to follow it, it's a recommendation, really, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and it comes down to what was often referred to as a safe harbor, is how far in the safe harbor do you want to be?
Right.
And there is some discretion. You don't have to be exactly what everyone else is, but the farther you deviate from those things, that's where you run that risk of getting into some issues. And you can talk to Crete. They had an issue not long ago with the police department, and it got really expensive, not just because it was ruled against them in the I'm forgetting the acronym.
Yeah.
CIR, thank you. That's embarrassing. But not only did they have the ruling go against them, but of course the legal fees that went along with that. So unless someone feels like they wanna make a motion on this item now, we could go ahead and see if Jerry Pigsy, the labor drain, would be available in a future meeting, yes.
I have no problem with that, I think it'd be great to have him
Okay.
in, but how is what he is going to tell us and what we are going to learn affect our vote on this, right, even afterward? I mean, we're still gonna be deciding between the two and their preference and Chris's comments. So I don't know how doing that, which we should have done, and I look forward to it, would affect the vote. We could do the vote tonight and still have
I
it.
agree.
Yes,
And going to Ellen's, I think as many times as we've had and they've reviewed it with this, I don't think we've ever, I want to say, denied. I think we've always supported the decision after it was explained. I don't think we've ever denied as far as I can remember, Barb. I don't know if you, I don't think we ever have.
Well,
I don't know that it hurts to wait on this decision until after, assuming we can get Jerry here. I don't know, I mean, without knowing what he says and putting everything into context, I can't answer that question. If it's, he could present and you could say, well, we could have decided this 2 weeks ago. But no, I don't know, there's no harm, no foul in doing that. If we had to have a decision by the next meeting, then that changes that equation, in my opinion. But I don't have any concern with that.
I mean, if that's what you want, I agree with what Ellen's saying. I don't know that Jerry's gonna come in and, I mean, he's not gonna review the two proposals for us and say, do this or do that. It is, I think, important that prior to getting results from it, that we get him here.
Right.
The only
So-
thing
so
I could,
people know what we're looking at.
the only thing I could think of would be is if his explanation of comparability and how he presents it, it could potentially, I guess, influence some criteria you would want to come out of these proposal, as far as to make sure, to address any concerns as far as how the job descriptions or what exactly we're asking them to provide to make sure that it is what the council really wants in making that decision. Because there is a risk with comparability if you get too far out of the safe harbor. So I think it'd be worth having Jerry come down, if that's helpful, and we don't have to make the decision tonight, so I would assume we can wait. But again, if you wanna make the motion, you sure can, it's up to the council.
Make a comment.
Yes, Bonnie?
Typically, the HR or city clerk answers these, and I'm not saying you have to make a decision tonight, but Jerry has to send these packets out to the other cities to respond, and they'll start getting busy with their budgets and things too, so just to allow them the time, and then to get it back to, not Jerry, whoever's
whoever
doing
we
the,
choose, yeah.
right. Then for them to, study the material and prepare it to present back to us, it just kind of pushes it down the road a little bit, so just something to keep in mind.
So it's up to you.
I'll move to approve Capital City Concepts bid.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Seeing none? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wolfenbeck, Fritz, Pike, Singleton, opposed.
Item number 7, the consideration of approving a golf cart lease agreement with Bruning State Bank and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement and related documents. Bruce?
Okay, when we came to the council around the first of the year and we're taking over the golf course and you approved the golf cart lease, at that time, the cart lease was $104.63 per cart for 6 months, or $2,092 a month. And after talking with some of the people that were playing out there a lot, I went back to the cart company and asked them what it would cost to add windshields and ball washers, club cleaners on the carts. And that really does add value to a person's golf game. If it's kind of, be able to clean your clubs, and things like that on the golf cart, be able to have a windshield if the weather's not that great, it really is really nice. And when he told me it was $5.37 a month per cart, it's like, I went ahead and I had to make the decision right away. So I went ahead and did it. And so here's the new lease, and that's the full lease. You didn't have the lease in your packet last time, so I wanted to bring the full lease to you and get your approval. Like I said, and I did already order them, so, you know, it's a little bit of money, but it's also, I've told some members some of the people that have joined, and they're very excited about the windshields. I mean, if you own your own car, 99% of them have windshields, and that's because it is a lot more fun if the weather's not great to have a windshield, and it breaks some of the wind and things like that. So I'm asking for you to go ahead and approve this lease.
Move to approve. Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Putting in favor, looking back, Fritz, Pike, signature.
All right, item number 8, consideration of resolution amending the golf fees at the Seward Community Golf Course. Bruce?
Well, there's just little fees that you gotta set that you kind of forget about when we did it the first time. So there's a couple additionals, and one of them is more of a, when we set the price for the golf cart rental, we set it as 12 for 9 and 20 for 18. I think there was, is that for per person? Is that per cart? How is it per seat? And so what we decided is we want to just call it per player. So the price per player for 9 holes is $6 for the cart and $10 for 18 holes. Like I said, it was 12 and 20, but we want to say per player. So that way you're not double charging somebody. So we wanted to clean that up.
Didn't know that could be so confusing.
Well, we want to keep it really competitive and keep it to where now if a person goes out to play 18 holes with a cart, it's $35. It's not $45, and that was the confusion, is it? Because we set everything by per player, except for the golf cart wasn't per player, it was per cart, basically. So we wanted to fix that and clean it up. And then we have lockers in there that we rent, and believe it or not, we rent about 100 lockers a year, and so the price on that's $35, and we didn't have that set, so we thought we better bring that as long as we're doing this. And then a driving range pass, it's set for $100 for a single day, hit all the range balls they want to, and $150 for the family. So we wanted to bring this back to you for your visit.
Yes, Barb.
So the driving range, that's separate from the membership fee, or is
Yes.
it okay. So if they're a member, they don't still have to pay that?
Yes.
They don't have to do
Yeah,
that.
just like if you want it, you can go out and you can buy a bucket of balls
Right.
anytime you want to.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'd ask someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce it.
All right, the resolution has been introduced and designated as resolution number 2016-06. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Putting in favor, looking back, Fritz, Pike, signature.
Item number 9, strategy session with city attorney with respect to possible acquisition of a temporary construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for construction of a drainage swale on the Seward Elementary School property. Kelly, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, this is kind of a continuation of a previous agenda item. This is the ongoing drainage dispute between the Seward Public School District and the Star Street property owners. So Bruce and myself and John met out at actually out at the site, and we walked it. And what I've came back with is a proposed temporary easement, which would basically allow for the city to come in and do construction of a drainage swale, which would improve the drainage off of the school's property and hopefully away from the adjoining property owners along Star Street. So with that, that's what I have to tell you about it. If you want to, if it's your pleasure, I would suggest that you go into closed session to further discuss it with me and talk about any of the legal issues that might be associated with it.
Okay. Would someone care to make that motion?
I'll move to go into closed session.
And you did?
Okay.
Oh, you have a script.
Where was that?
Here. I would suggest that you go into, well, yeah, just read the language, that's fine.
I I move that we go into closed session with the city attorney to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period of not to exceed 30 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to go into closed session with the city attorney to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Is there any discussion? Oh,
To include city attorney, city council members, the mayor, and city administrator.
Second.
Do you want John in there?
you need John in there?
We need John. And John.
Okay.
Everybody that's here.
Except you. The pending motion is to go into closed session with the city attorney, the city council, the mayor, John Hughes, and the city administrator, to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Please call the roll.
Do you wanna do it this way?
Or, I don't know, it says roll call vote.
Go ahead and use the voting machine, I guess, that's okay. Okay, voting in favor, Wilken, Beck, Fritz, Pike, Seaman, Schmidt.
Okay. A motion to go into closed session with the city attorney, the city council, city administrator, and John Hughes to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary construction grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes has been adopted.
Okay.
Time how long it took to get into closed session?
Yeah.
Let's see if we're in there that long.
You want
I
to-
know.
The motion, or the, alright, we are out of closed session, and no formal action was taken while in closed session. Unless there's any further comments from the council, we'll move on to the next item. Seeing no comments, we'll move on to item number 10, this is city administrator's report. Bruce?
I apologize for being late to get to you. I was incapacitated the last week, so. Just a couple other things than what I put in the report. We're gonna be doing the silent auction tomorrow night at the golf course for, selling the advertising on the tee markers. So hopefully we'll get a crowd out there and they'll buy that. And then we're also selling the advertising on the scorecards. It's just a fundraiser. That's what they've always done in the past, and it's a good way to raise some extra money. So we're doing that tomorrow night. I went to the Agent Services Committee meeting. They need a new HVAC system out there, and so they went to some local people and a freezer. So they have two things going out, and they've chosen a 25-ton. They've got a 30 in there right now, but it really is oversized for the building. They've had the engineers come in and check it, and so they're going to get a new one, and that's going to be paid for by the trust. So the city's not on the hook for any of that. And that's kind of what we've been talking about with Alan Roth is, we're taking over the operation costs, and they're going to pay for the upkeep then. So those are a couple of good things, and I've heard good things about the golf course. I've only been out there once, but we've done, the guys have done quite a bit of work out there cleaning up and helping Dan with things. We've grinded basically all the stumps. They had 73 stumps, I think, out there, and we went out there and did all that grinding for them, so we didn't have to hire them because we've got a really good stump grinder. We're doing some work on the water wells right now. The NRD has made it that if you have a well, you've got to have a flow meter on it because they want to know how much water's coming out of the ground. So that's an added cost that we didn't expect. But we're going to do that work ourselves and things like that. So
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Any questions or comments?
I would say they did a good job of cleaning up on the highway there. Looks a lot more appealing.
Yeah, that was really important. They wanted to get out there and help Dan get that stuff cleaned up because it did look pretty bad, and that is our entrance to the community. So I think it's going really well. We were packed yesterday. I guess there were a lot of people playing golf yesterday. So it's good.
I've seen, it's right out my back door, so I see a lot that goes on. And the community is using it. I see faces that were not members when it was a country club out there playing. So, it's good.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to accept the city administrator's report.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Putting in favor, looking back, Fritz Hudson, Schmidt, motion.
Are there any future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none. Item number 12, announcement of upcoming events. We have the National Library Week finale, April 16th from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. located on 5th Street in the parking lot east of Seward Memorial Library.
I think she said last year they had like 400 people.
Wow.
So,
So, well, great. Unless any other announcements, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
second.
We have a motion and a second. We register your votes. Please display the votes.
Putting in favor, looking back, Fritz Hudson, Schmidt, motion.
Thank you all.
Thank you.